He knows I like it.
Hey, how's it going?
Cool. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, you better not infringe on my space.
You take up a lot of space too.
Hey, I'm freaking territorial about that.
You mean tonight or right now? Don't be tappity tap today, okay?
That's why I put the thing under there.
Okay, good. It's been working good. I don't think a lot of people have been complaining about it, so they seem to be hearing everything good. And I turned this thing all the way up, so. I'm not getting everybody today.
You know, make sure that you say everything is okay with it before you go.
Beautiful day.
This got the thing on.
Deal.
What's that? What's the swing cigarette cupcakes? Oh.
No, I understand.
High importance.
You know what? I'm moving. Okay? I know.
You can do whatever you want
I'm
to do,
moving.
bro.
It's just not getting everybody on that side.
All I have is a speaker, so
One home to my wife.
you're good.
One word for Sam and one for Crystal.
Come on, buddy.
You're close.
Yeah, this is where I was at last week and it worked out good. I
I
think
was
that's
thinking, well,
good.
worst case, backing up a little bit. You might
Yeah.
Yeah, I would come in once a year, it's always for the same thing. It's always good to see you every year though. I appreciate that. For some reason, I guess. Appreciate all the work.
I think we're good.
There you go.
All right.
You got everybody.
Yeah.
Is that you? That's perfect. Yeah. Well, when you guys retire, you're welcome to come join us.
We already have 3 people in the chat.
If we to rewrite, let me know. Well, thanks so much.
We have the CEO.
Yeah, Mr. Putin's got nothing on me, let me tell you.
So Chris, did you want to speak on something that was on the agenda?
No.
Okay, good. Christie, how about you? Did you want to speak on something that was on the agenda? No, okay, thank you. Thank you.
Did you get mine?
So then
Yeah, but yours, I thought I was reading it right.
Okay.
Okay,
Well, you never know with me.
well, I'll know once you get up there.
I can hear it. I can see it. We're up and running.
we are?
Yeah.
Cool. Go for it.
Morning, Sam.
Morning, Gary.
How you doing today?
Doing well. How are you, sir?
Hey. Woke up, stood up, and I'm here. So it's good. And the sun's shining a little bit.
There we go.
Heck of a day.
Yeah?
Good talking to your dad yesterday for a minute.
Oh, yeah. He appreciated you coming all the way out and talking.
I've known him a lot of years. I've known him longer than I have you. That's several months.
Yeah, just a couple. You're old. I know.
Yeah, but we're
Look-
getting,
Look at all this wisdom here.
So what do you think? I think that's good. So then this part here just gets
when you
into
get too much, it kills the fossil.
this. This?
Cause your brain pushes it all out.
See, I must not have that much brain to push it all out.
Better stop while we're here. No pun. We all better.
9:30.
Oh, sorry.
Are you in a hurry? I am.
Okay,
Mike is.
okay,
Hang
All
on,
right.
I didn't realize what time it was.
okay, Michelle, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Okay, we're live.
Okay. Have the pledge of allegiance. Mr. Alba, would you like to? All right. Ready, begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God, thank you for today, God. God, thank you that we get to come together and do the county business, God. God, we just pray, God, that you would just help us and guide us on all of these decisions, God. God, I just pray for the county staff, God, that you would just guide them and protect them today as they work. And God, that you would bring them back home safe to their families. And God, I'm just pray, God, that for everybody that's attending here, that you would just, it just blesses us that people are so concerned with the county that they take time out of their day. And I pray all of this in the wonderful name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
I don't know. One of us will be up first.
Okay. Call the meeting to order. We didn't have any closed session. So, agenda approval, any additions or deletions?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay. Supervisor Bridges made the motion, second by Supervisor Ingram. Is there anybody from the public here? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we're going to have public comment is now, and you'll have 3 minutes to address the board. And our first one is Christy Palmer.
You really called me first time.
Well, I can call you later.
I gotta go to work anyway.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna read from this. Hello, my name is Christy Palmer. I am here to express my deep disappointment and outrage regarding the comments made by Mr. Albaugh during a recent Lassen County Board meeting. I'm a Susanville resident, a business owner in Lassen County, the events coordinator of the Lassen County Best of Broadway Board of Directors, public member at large on the county's Vets Hall Task Force, and production manager for Frightmare. In saying all of this, I have always valued the professionalism and dedication of our community leaders. However, Mr. Albaugh's remarks have left me deeply concerned about the standards of conduct we uphold. During the meeting, Mr. Albaugh made some inappropriate sexist comments about the attire of our previous fair manager. This behavior is not only unprofessional, but also highly disrespectful to the individuals who have worked tirelessly for the betterment of our community. I have had the pleasure of working with the previous fair manager and can attest to their commitment and professionalism. I must express my discontent regarding the current situation, and if accountability is to be assigned, it falls primarily on the board's shoulders. It is evident where your focus and your concerns lie. Additionally, I am disappointed that none of the other board members reacted or addressed Mr. Albaugh's remarks. which I believe were intended to be inappropriate. Given our experience and the extensive training many of us have undergone on sexual harassment in the workplace, I expected a more proactive response from the board. Alas, nothing has happened. As a resident of Lassen County, I pay attention to the politics and the horrific, outdated, sexist attitude of some of our representatives. This behavior is repulsive, and for our sakes and the sake of our daughters, your own daughters, it is time to stand up. Thank you, Carla Dollar, for being the first to speak out in a public forum against this disgusting sexual behavior from our leadership. Thank you, Shelley Templeton Bennett, for writing, quote, "Clothing choices do not grant others the right to judge, mistreat, or harm the wearer. What someone wears is an expression of their individuality, not an invitation or justification for disrespect or for violence," end quote. She is correct. Clothing choices do not define us, but our word choices certainly demonstrate the core of who we are. This, in my mind, also raises questions as to the potential that the current and only bid to manage and run the Diamond Mountain Racetrack this season was rejected because they are a woman. Mr. Albaugh's lack of remorse or respect following his comments is unacceptable. Such behavior, among other inconsistencies, undermines the integrity of our board and the trust of the community. Therefore, I'm calling for Mr. Albaugh's resignation. It is imperative that we maintain a standard of respect and professionalism in all of our county's dealings. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Thank you. Okay, the next one is Chris.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to start with, I'm sorry, Christopher. The power under the Constitution will always be in the people. It is entrusted for certain defined purposes and for a certain limited period to representatives of their own choosing. And whether it is executed contrary, and whenever it is executed contrary to their interests or not agreeable to their wishes, their servants can and undoubtedly will be recalled. Quote from George Washington. Marcus Tullius Cicero was right. The arrogance of officialdom must be tempered and controlled. George Mason was also correct. Political elitism is anathema to principled governance. The question for us is simple. Do we want to remain on the road to serfdom, or shall we take the exit ramp to individual freedom and liberty? The political cabal, which is you, is telling us who they are, what they want, subservience, obedience, and subjugation. The following is a quote from Colonel Allen West. The choice is yours. As the rock band Rush said in the song Free Will, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. Perhaps it is time the citizens, who after all pay for the government at all levels, determine what constitutes a proper return on their tax investments. Let's not forget that you, elected officials, dictated and mandated to the serfs, us, what they deemed was essential. It would appear that if elected officials were to do the right by the people, there would be no complaints or lawsuits. Funny, these current elected officials want to have immunity, meaning that they believe themselves to be above reproach. We seem to recall that the last right that we as American citizens have in the First Amendment is our Constitution, and that is the right to petition our government to redress our grievances. I presume that applies if we lived in a constitutional republic, not what appears to be a constitutional monarchy, according to you elitists, unquote. Now let's discuss the 2012 Comprehensive Plan. How many of you actually read it? It appears that the supervisors of that time took the time to get off their behinds and do work for the people. Going to meetings and doing your cursory obligation is only part of what we elected you for. On page 4 is a list of community members who provided comment and suggestions for community improvement. Did you see it? That was initiated by the board at that time. On page 12 is a list of examples of cities with aspirational goals. Great idea. Who among you is willing to call successful cities for ideas? On page 18 is more aspirational goals. Examples of the 10 best towns in America. Who among you is willing to search out these towns and see what and how they won that recognition? This group of ladies behind me are representing the Lassen County Republican Assembly, and we are busy researching and have found attorneys, and most importantly, are reading and understanding our rights deemed to us by the Constitution of the United States. Hang on, boys. You're in for a bumpy ride.
Andy,
Hold on, I lost my page.
okay,
I think I lost my page.
Did you get it?
No. Oh, here it is. Andrea Traphagen for the Lassen County Republican Assembly. In addition to being an LCRA member, I am speaking as a member of the ag community, which is, by the way, one of the top private industries in Lassen County. Agriculture, as stated in the 2012 Lassen County Economic Plan and recently aborted Area Plan of 2025, is listed as one of your top 5 business assets. I need it clear that a farm is evaluated with every new improvement. Then we are taxed higher for improving or working our land. We're taxed when we clear our land of sagebrush, when we put it into production, when we add wheel lines, pivots, and any manner of irrigation. We are taxed on the fuel to transport our seed to plant in the field. We're taxed on the field to prepare our ground, plant our seed, and harvest. When we sell a crop, government agencies, CDFA, CDPH, take a percentage of our gross sales. Each take a percentage. If you are organic, your certifier takes a portion of your gross sales. Our equipment is taxed when it's purchased, taxed when it sits, every year it sits on our property, on our taxed land, and I'm taxed when I sell it. I repeat the process with every piece of equipment on our farm. When we fix our equipment, we are taxed on the parts, repair shops, and to get it home. The board's decision with the Kramer Ranch showed it is interested only in revenuing through taxes and following the lead of Governor Newsom to tax and regulate our farms. He's taught you to beg for his handouts, and for some reason it is the only economic plan you are embracing. You are not looking at the end result of this bad choice. Low to no growth, inflation, reduced business investment, and loss of the very farms that built this valley. All of agriculture is currently forced into economic distress caused by this board's decision. You are proving the power to tax is the power to destroy. Is this your intent? It's what we see happening. Thank you.
okay. Angie, the next.
Morning. How's it going? Y'all doing good? I'm doing good. I'm Angie Boston, Lassen County Republican Assembly. I would like to thank you guys for stopping that contract with for the area planning and the agreement between Kimley Horn and the county. Awesome. I do have some concerns of the $215,000 that they want to charge. Now, I'm sure they're going to give an invoice. I really hope y'all are looking close at it, because in their agreement, it states that community involvement determines the overall design, program, and funding. Community involvement and engagement was huge in this agreement. They failed that. They failed it, and they're charging over $44,000 for just the community meetings. So they failed when they didn't do the radio spots, and we had the gentleman here last week from Kimley Horn, and it was reported saying that they failed to do it. That's breach number 1. The second one is that they also said that they would provide, in the meetings that we had, that was in January 28th, 29th, and 30th, that they would provide the current community plans, the county's current general plan, as well as the recent county general plan safety element to provide a baseline. They didn't do that. And I know Supervisor Bridget, that you thought that Kimley Horn did a great job as part of the community. They were horrible. Absolutely horrible, and they shouldn't be paid for that. So, going to the meeting, we had a member from LCRA at every meeting. They failed to answer any questions. They failed to be transparent. on what was happening. And at a cost of $44,000, you better get your money back. So I'm just really hoping, and maybe you can put this on an agenda or bring it out there somewhere when they send the invoice, to really look at it closely, because they broke their contract. And I think under California, you have a right to fight that and not pay for it. This is the people of the county's money, and you need to represent those of us in this community and not Kimley Horn or be their buddies, because I guarantee if you look at it again and go to them 3 years ago with the way that guy stormed out last week, he's going to say, forget everything that we already did, because there's going to be new laws and new this and that, and they're going to have to start over, and you're going to be eating this $215,000. So that's my concern. But again, I appreciate y'all for stopping it. But I wish it was a little sooner. So thank you so much.
Okay, Wade?
Hi, my name is Wade Workman. I am the president of the Lassen Sportsman's Club and the chairman of the Junior Fishing Derby, so I'm here to talk about the Junior Fishing Derby today. First off, I want to thank the board for their ongoing support and the county of Lassen for their decades of support in this event. We really appreciate it. It helps us get a lot done, and it's a great event. Anybody who hasn't been there should go. Just check it out and help out. I do have a report from last year of the results, and so the event was held on Saturday, May 18th, and we had kids on the Susan River and on Paiute Creek. We had 101 participants ages 2 to 5 and 203 ages 6 to 15 for a total of, I think that's 304. So pretty good, considering the year before when we had to postpone the Derby, we only had 129. We bounced back pretty good when we got back on track. I'll just go through the list of the first place winners in each group. In girls 2 to 15, it was Elena Rubel, 2 pounds, 0 ounce, 17 and a quarter inch trout. Girls age 6 to 15, it was Brielle Armstead with a trout that weighed 1 pound, 15 ounces and was 18 and a quarter inches long. And then boys 6 to 15, Clayton Moore had a 2 pound, 3 ounce fish that was 18 and a quarter inches long. And finally, Colt Raymond came in ages 2 to 5 with a 2 pound, 3 ounce fish at 18 and a half inches long. So I read out the measurements because that's important. Because if you'll note, both Colt and Clayton tied at 2 pounds, 3 ounces, but Colt's fish was a quarter inch longer. So he won the biggest fish, and in turn he won the custom rod built by Dave Hutala at Elgin Iverson Men's Den, paired with a reel that was supplied by the Fishing Derby. So he was our big winner, and then we always do sportsmanship awards. So one was given to Sean Alexander, and the other one was given to Pearl Avila, Tara's daughter. Now, this year's. So we're on. It's going to be May 17th. Registration will begin at 5 a.m. or so. I get there pretty early, and we'll see how many people show up. Usually there's people waiting for me, even if I get there at 4:15. So it'll be at the bandstand at Memorial Park, just like always, and we'll do sign-ups. We will also have breakfast being served at the snack bar, courtesy of Walmart. They've been doing awesome breakfast burritos for the past several years and have been a hit with people. Fishing right now is slated to start around 5 a.m. We're going to clarify that. We're working on the posters now, and those are going to come out. And when I do, I'll bring a few down here so you guys can see them, and we can post them out here. Of course, fishing stops at 3 p.m. I like to get that out everywhere so that people know that if you want to be part of the prize giveaway, you've got to be back. Really need to be back at 2:45. And then Paiute Creek is limited to kids 2 to 5. And then Susan River is 2 to 15. In Paiute Creek, we put weirs in the creek, nets, or actually they're chain link, so that the fish stay within the boundaries of the park. Don't go upstream towards the meadows or downstream to the Susan River. And the little kids get to fish for those. And I have to admit that when I plant the fish, I tend to put really big fish in there, because it's pretty cool watching a kid that big with a trout almost as big as they are. I really like that. I don't know, we also do lunch. Greg Sella's been doing that for us for a while. We generally start that around 10:30 in the morning and go until people don't want to eat anymore, the food is gone. Weigh-in closes at 3 p.m., no exceptions, so you really need to get there pretty early. And then once we get everything figured out, who the winners are, we start giving away prizes. So in the last several years, we've had really generous donations from around town. Not only in terms of money to purchase the fish, we spend about $8,500 a year on fish and bring in about 1,700 pounds, and then the state matches us. So we plant our fish on Thursday. The state comes in and plants their fish on Friday, which we help with because we target the areas where we plant the fish. And so everybody who fishes has an opportunity to potentially win something until we run out. We trade your event card for a ticket, and then we call numbers until things are gone. So, you know, as usual, it's still Lassen County. Even in May, it's going to be chilly, so anybody who shows up needs to dress appropriately. And I think I got it all under 3 minutes, and I don't think I forgot too much of anything. Anybody have any questions? All right, well, I look forward. I know you guys are doing discretionary funding today, so I look forward to that as well. All right, I've got to run off. I have meetings to go to, so thank you so much for your time, and enjoy your guys' day.
Thank you. Okay, Rhiannon?
Good morning. My name is Raina Davis, and I am the person who bid for the racetrack promoter, which now I have to take a different approach because that lady kind of just hit on what I wanted to hit on. So first I want to start by reading what the RFP says. So the RFP says evaluation and selection committee. An evaluation and selection committee may be assembled by the Lassen County Fair. It says may be assembled by the Lassen County Fair manager and will include the Lassen County Fair manager and other county employees, and may include volunteer to be selected by the county from Lassen County Fair Advisory Board. The committee is assembled. Will review all response proposals, receive and access proposals. The committee may make recommendations to the Lassen County Board of Supervisors for the board to consider when making an award to the contractor. So, and I'm sorry, that's page 2 of the RFP. And then following the board meetings, the last
Reports by board members. Jason, you want to start us off?
Yes, give me 1 second. I have a request. All right, excuse me. All right, last Wednesday I attended the 395 Coalition meeting where we got great updates on the now $58 million safety project that we're going to try to combine with the maintenance project as well. The maintenance project is over $20 million, and we've also identified several locations for the wildlife overcrossing, and the South County seems to be a lot of those hotspots. So the next step is to identify the landowners, speak with them, and see if any of them are interested in having it go from one side of the highway to the other onto private property. That's going to be the biggest challenge. So me and John Clarisi will be contacting the landowners and see where we can make that happen at. I also attended a full day of EMS Zooms. I want to thank Mr. Bridges for filling in on the one during the 395 Coalition meeting. Also wanted to allocate $500 to the Lassen County Farm Bureau for their $500 to the Lassen Grizzly Clay Breakers, $500 to the Doyle Seniors, $500 to the Powwow, and $250 to the Fishing Derby, and $250 to the Schaefer School PTO. And I was also contacted by my Fish and Game Commissioner last night. They wanted to see if they can get the Brown Act information, pages 8 through 12, to the Fish and Game Commission, just printed out so they'll have it on them. They want to attend another Fish and Game presentation in Modoc County, and they don't want to violate the Brown Act going all together. So That's about all that I have.
Thank you. Mr. Alba?
Well, thank you. First off, I'd like to start off by discretionary funds, the fishing derby, for the one here in Susanville, I'd like to donate $250. For the Big Valley Bullseyes, $500. And, attended a solid waste meeting, special meeting, it was Wednesday to get a new, compactor for the dump out there. It's, unbelievable how expensive equipment is nowadays. It's almost sad and depressing, but anyway, we've gotta have it to extend the life of the dump out there and whatnot, so that was one thing we talked about. I guess that was the only thing. This weekend I'll be attending, Fall River Big Valley annual meeting. It'll be kind of interesting because, we've got wolves up there again, they've made 3 kills in Big Valley, 1 probable and 3 confirmed. So they're coming, and also, next week, down at RCRC, I'll be going, Wade Crowfoot will be there, and, anyway, it'll be interesting because he's, the director for natural resources at the Department of Fish and Game, Department of Fish and Predators falls under him, so. Anyway, if you've got any questions you'd like to ask them, let me know, because I'll be coming out there pretty good on that. And other than that, I guess that's about it, we'll call it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Scanlon?
Yeah, on the 13th, I attended the Lassen Regional Solid Waste Management Association meeting as well. And the big topic of conversation was approval of a $1.8 million trash compactor to extend the life of the dump. And so that was kind of a big deal. And I've got meetings scheduled later this week with the Farm Bureau and the Fish and Game Commission, but that's it for me.
Okay, on the 12th, I attended 4 different Zoom meetings on the NorCal EMS Board of Directors. I have to really put kudos out to the organization of NorCal. They went from a nonprofit to a JPA to firm up ambulance service and first responders for Lassen, Modoc, Plymouth, Sierra, and Trinity counties. I think that's pretty important. We came real close to not having those services, and they fought very, very hard, worked very hard. A lot of your supervisors stepped in and done all they could do to help, and the results are phenomenal. So kudos to NorCal. Let's see, I attended the corned beef cabbage for all the pets that we try to save in Lassen County. So that organization's pretty awesome. Yesterday I done a PSA2 Zoom meeting on feeding our seniors, and I'm not real happy with PSA2 right now for the fact that we've done everything we can to get congregate meals for our seniors, and we still don't have them. And they said the funding's not there. Well, again, the state stepped in, and we're under the thumb of what they give us, and our seniors deserve more. So I know Supervisor Neely and I are fighting very, very hard on that, and it's very frustrating. And today, I need to attend a Lassen County Library Board of Trustees meeting at 3. I'll finish that up with a $250 donation to the fishing derby. That's it. Thank you.
All right. So yesterday I attended the PSA2 meeting on Zoom. Today there's a pool meeting at 3. Tomorrow there's a Lassen Fire Safe Council meeting. And then Thursday I'll be on another Zoom training for the PSA2. And today the Blue Star Moms are having a fundraiser at the Blue Ox, so if anybody wants to support them. And that's all I have. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move to D1, the planning and building services.
Mr. Chairman, board members, Galen Norwood, Planning and Building Services Department. This is submittal of the water year 2024 annual report for the Big Valley Groundwater Basin per requirements of the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. The requested action is to receive the report and to adopt a resolution directing staff to submit the water year 2024 annual report for the Big Valley Groundwater Basin to the Department of Water Resources per requirements of the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. We have Clay Sorensen online. He's going to come up here. He's going to give a presentation remotely. West Jost is the firm that was selected to, along with MoDOT County, they're under contract with MoDOT County to work for the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. They're working under a grant that MoDOT County has right now, but they did the annual report for us this year with input from the farm advisors and from staff and from the Big Valley Groundwater Basin Advisory Committee met on February 27th and forwarded the recommendation to the board to adopt. The MoDOT County GSA, the Board of Supervisors acting as the GSA for MoDOT County, adopted the resolution last week directing staff to submit it to DWR. So now once this board has adopted a resolution, we would submit it to DWR. It's due by April 1st. With that, I'll bring up Clay Sorensen, and unless you have any questions for me to get started.
Now, does anybody?
I just know it's a lot of work.
1 second while we get that going.
Let him know he's on mute.
Apparently not wanting to work today.
What?
Amanda, is this a hearing?
Well, it looks like he is not sharing. We can't hear you, Clay.
It shows muted right here.
Can you hear me?
There we go.
There we go.
Yep, now you're good.
Okay. Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, I want to.
Do I need to back up?
Yes, please.
Okay. So again, just a brief overview of what we'll be talking about today. Again, I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. We'll talk about the annual report for water year 2024 objectives, milestones for completion, and then give a brief overview of what's actually in the report. So the objectives come from the California Water Code. It's for the annual reports. The objectives are to document the current groundwater conditions, any monitoring and data collection efforts.
I'm going to get that out for you, but you can still see it on this one. He hasn't presented anything yet. Continue, Clay, please.
Okay. Any activities to fill data gaps, comparisons between the water years, and then implementation progress related to project and management actions described in the groundwater sustainability plan. So I'm on slide 4. Brief overview of the milestones to complete the 2024 water year annual report. In mid-February, we submitted a draft of the water year annual report 2024 to the County of Modoc and County of Lassen GSAs for review. They provided us comments, which we addressed and submitted to the Big Valley Groundwater Basin Advisory Committee revised draft on February 19th. On February 27th, we met with the Big Valley Advisory Committee to present the annual report, and they approved the draft for review by the Board of Supervisors for County of Modoc and County of Lassen. Last week, on March 11th, we presented the annual report to the County of Modoc Board of Supervisors, who approved, and today we are here presenting to the County of Lassen Board of Supervisors. And as Galen mentioned, on April 1st, we need to submit to DWR. Moving on to slide 5, final slide for today. Brief overview of what's in the report. You've received and approved a number of these in past water years. We largely have kept the 2024 annual report the same. The organization is stipulated again in the water code and must contain an executive summary, general information that includes surface water hydrology as well as climate, groundwater conditions, GSP implementation and progress, and conclusions. Things that differ from this year, we added information on stream flow annually based on feedback we've received on previous annual reports. We've defined a water year type tailored to the local basin conditions. Historically, the Sacramento River Hydrologic Index has been used, and in order to better understand hydrology and how it impacts groundwater, we've developed a more basin-specific index for water years historically and for moving forward. And then the last addition or revamp here is we've developed a GSP implementation project status table to be able to enhance tracking of progress and completion of each of the projects and management actions that are laid out in the GSP. So that's all I have for today. Thank you for having me, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Does anybody have any questions for him? Supervisor Albaugh?
Thank you, Clay. Good job for doing this. Where are we at for getting reprioritized, and when do we have to update this general plan again, et cetera? And where are you with your groundwater storage budget tools?
Sorry, you're cutting in and out, but were you asking about where we're at with the updated water budget tool?
Yes.
We're developing the hydrologic conceptual model, as well as the and grid for the groundwater model. And over the next year or so, we'll be able to get all the data that we need in there and present that to the BVAC. One of my colleagues, Ken, is going to be discussing some of the inputs and water use with some of the locals I think later this month. So we're still gathering information and data, but we should have more updates as the year progresses.
Okay, and how about the basin boundary modification?
Similar kind of timeline. We've developed some cross sections and we're updating the hydrogeologic conceptual model, as well as developing some more regional hydrographs for groundwater, which will all be used in conjunction to along with some of the refinements of the well database to look into developing that basin boundary modification request.
And my last question, have you heard from DWR when they're gonna go back in and reprioritize these basins?
Not yet, no.
They're kind of behind, aren't they? DWR?
Sorry.
Isn't
One more
DWR behind on reprioritizing?
Yeah, they had, my understanding is they had talked about looking into that, you know, on a set time frame, and no one's heard about when that next round is going to be. But we've got our ear out and we're listening, and we'll be reporting back to the BVAC as soon as we hear.
Okay.
Is there anybody else? Huh?
I've got a
Okay,
question for,
Supervisor Bridges.
I've got a question for Supervisor Alba. When they done the original evaluation, how much did we go over the limit for not being involved in all this? Do you remember?
You have to look at more, it was less than one, like a third of a point or something.
0.5.
Huh?
0.5. We were 0.5 over being a low priority basin.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yet their ranking criteria is whole numbers. I mean,
Okay.
so statistically, there's no way we should be able to be in this, cause by their ranking criteria, it's whole numbers. And then they put us in by half, so.
By 0.5.
Yeah.
Well, that was after we discredited their methodology. They just changed the way they did the equation. So it's a moving goal. So they'll just move it away from us every time we get close to it. So.
And just real quick, roughly, what's that cost the county?
Well, that's
Just a guesstimate.
they gave us $1 million to do the plan, I think, roughly, and we've probably exceeded that far and away, and will into perpetuity.
Pretty sad, thank you.
We're currently working on Modoc County's grant money.
Wow, thank you. That's all I have.
But I will say one other thing, this West Yost Clay Works they are light years ahead of the first consultant, the expert we had to develop this plan. The West Yost is light years ahead of them. I can say that.
And in the plan, they proved that we weren't drawing down the water table like what the state said that we were.
Yeah, we've had to pay, like Maury said, it's $1 million on the first grant. Modoc County's got a bunch more money, and we're having to pay these guys to prove our innocence. And it's criminal what they're doing to us. We fought them, and Freedom of Information Act, and we had to do their homework for them, and prove them that they're wrong. And then, like Maury says, they just come back and change the goalposts on this, and they're gonna continue to do it. It's just picking on the private lands, because you look at the basin boundary, right now, it's all on private ground, except for the one little, what I call Mitchell's finger, that sticks out there, that's on federal, but, it's just, and the only reason why they went up there was to take in a diversion, because it's supposed to be, their definitions and their criteria that they're supposed to go by is just BS. And, they say way back when, that this was our plan, we could write it the way we want it. Well, we did that, and we got it sent back saying it wasn't good enough, so we had to go back and do a modification to it. And so we sent it back, we had to go through all that process, we sent it back to them again, and then the state sent us back, saying it was approved, but yet they had 61 pages of recommended suggested changes. I mean, but yet it's supposed to be our plan. So, I mean, it's government at its finest. And we need, if any other basin ever gets in Lassen County and they try to approve it, you guys, we gotta fight it. Okay, cause it's not worth it. I mean, it's been a chaotic headache for poor Galen and Maury and the Modoc staff. I mean, it's not worth it. The supervisors, the people in the community, the growers, I mean, it's just, it's not a good situation. And you've gotta fight it, you've gotta fight it. And you can't be nice about it either.
Well, it's pretty ironic when we prove them wrong
Yeah,
and
they
then,
just go back
and then
change
we
the
still
rules.
have to spend all of this money to maintain our innocence.
So anyway,
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I have to agree with you on, it's sad, because I'm the alternate on that board, and I've seen how hard that our planning department, MODOC's planning department, the supervisors for MODOC, Mr. Albaugh, the citizens that are on that board, it would turn your hair gray to see what they've had to, the hoops they've had to jump through, and how hard they have fought for those farmers up there to keep their livelihood. It's criminal. And then the state changed the rules when we proved that we were innocent. They changed the rules and we had to start over again. So kudos to the team that fought hard for it. Thank you, Maury.
Thanks, staff.
Well,
And
when I thank you, I know it's the entire staff. I know Galen's amazing in that. He really is. So.
absolutely.
A lot of people. That's all I have.
moral of the story is don't trust the government.
Step ups.
All right. So I need a motion.
We'll make a motion to adopt the resolution directing staff to submit the water year 2024 annual report for the Big Valley Groundwater Basin to the Department of Water Resources per requirements of the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act.
All right. Motion made by Supervisor.
Go ahead.
Is there Ingram? Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, second by Supervisor Scanlon. Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on this?
Discussion.
Yes.
The feeling that you're feeling right now, the frustration.
Can you state your name for the
Andrea Traphagen.
Thank you.
The feeling that you're feeling right now, the frustration, that's what we're feeling when we come in as a business trying to start something. What you're feeling, that feeling of like jumping through hoops and trying to make it happen, this feeling, know it, because now you know what we're feeling. Everything that you're saying, I was like, oh, I've said that myself. It's unfortunate. And I'm hoping that as you look at what's happening in our state, that you don't reproduce it and keep reproducing it in our local level. You need to help us, and so we don't feel this anymore. Thank you.
Is there anybody else from the public? Okay, seeing none, we're gonna bring it back up here, and Mr. Albaugh, you have something else to add?
Yeah, I would like to amend the motion or make a subsequent motion to basically to receive the report, adopt the resolution directing staff to submit the water year 24 annual report for the Big Valley Groundwater Basin to the Department of Water Resources per requirements of the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, along with any changes that Modoc County may have made, because we have to have the same plan. And so I would make that amended.
I'll second that motion because they have to be involved with this.
No, we have to have the same plan. We are involved in this one. We'll have to have the same plan, so you can't make any changes. I don't think they did, but in case they did, I would like to make that.
Okay, a new motion was made by Supervisor Albaugh, second by Supervisor Ingram. Is there anybody in the public that would like to make a public comment? Seeing none, we're gonna do, roll call vote.
Supervisor Scanlon,
Yes.
Supervisor Bridges,
Yes.
Supervisor Alba,
Aye.
Supervisor Ingram,
Aye.
Supervisor Neely.
Yes.
Thanks, Clay.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to D2.
Board members, thank you guys for having me here. Jason Bial, the Director of Community Social Services, joined in the audience by several of our social worker, either supervisors or social workers that run this vital resource for our community. So I have the privilege of bringing forth the proclamation for Social Work Appreciation Month for March 2025. The theme for this year is Compassion plus Action. So real quick, I'm going to ask if all the social workers and social worker supervisors will stand up to be acknowledged. Thank you guys. Just a brief round of applause for these guys. These are the guys doing the work in the field. So I just thank you guys. But I did want to have them stand up because we're going to talk a little bit about what they go through. So in the next weeks and months ahead, social workers will be called to turn their compassion into action to help our nation address the variety of social changes or challenges, including the mass deportations and migrations continue to attack on the people who are LGBTQIA2+, reproductive rights, diversity, equality, and inclusion. Social workers are also on the forefront of helping our nation address the mental health and substance use crisis and chronic income inequality that has led to rising homelessness. But the theme also focuses on a need for social workers, and this is the one I want you guys to hear. The theme also focuses on a need for social workers to take care of themselves. Just as airlines instruct passengers to put on their own oxygen mask before they help others in an emergency, social workers must prioritize compassion for themselves to effectively support those in need. And also, I just want to give a shout out to everybody in the public. Please, if you see a social worker out doing their job this month, give them a shout out there. They're very rarely thanked for their job. It's a thankless job. But this is a great month and a reminder for everyone to just say thank you when you see them out in the field. And also, again, thank you guys for everybody who's attended. There's some people back here who've been in the social worker field for almost 2 decades. And we also have some new faces back there that are really contributing to the team. So anybody else want to add anything or say?
Could you have them stand up again, Jason? I want to give them another hand.
One second.
And then, if possible, do you mind if we take a quick picture with you guys for the proclamation? Share on social media?
Do we make a motion to adopt the
Oh,
proclamation?
yes, sorry, I'm sorry. I jumped ahead.
I'll make a motion to adopt the proclamation.
Okay. Supervisor Ingram made a motion, need a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, Supervisor Scanlon, second it. Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on this? Okay, seeing none, we'll bring it back up here for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay.
I don't wanna take a picture with anybody I don't know.
Okay, can we do introductions?
Yes, please.
Oh, awesome, okay. If you guys will stand up real quick, and then we'll go in a line. If you'll say your name, what agency you work for, and how many years you've worked for us. It's very important, starting with Kat.
My name is Catherine Nielsen. I am a child welfare supervisor, and I've been with child welfare for 14 years.
Thank you.
Morning, my name is Jennifer MacArthur. I'm a senior social worker 3 with Child and Family Services, and I've been here almost 5 years.
Lisa.
Lisa Chandler, program manager with child welfare, and I have been in this department for 20 years. Tina Kennemore, program manager for adult services, and I've been with the department for about 17 years.
Kimberly Adams, social worker 3 for in-home supportive services, and it'll be 6 years next month.
Jeremy Mays, I'm an IHSS social worker, and I've been with the department for 3 weeks.
Jesse?
Jesse Toland, I'm a social worker 2 for Child and Family Services. I've been with the department for about 1.5 years.
And then in the back.
Evelyn Patty, social worker 2 at Lassen Works. I do a lot of the housing programs. I've been with Lassen County for over 6 years, but I've been 23 years in the business.
So that is just a tip of the iceberg. We have 16 social workers that we employ through our several divisions, and you guys got to meet a vast handful of them.
Cool. Thank you for doing that, Jason. It's important.
Well, thank you guys for being willing to share. And then can we finish in a picture and a round of applause?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, Danielle, will you take the picture? I was looking for you.
Right up here.
Just like
Thank you
do.
so much.
Okay.
Okay. Where do you guys want us?
Come
Where-
on out.
Okay. Come on up, guys.
Thank you guys.
That was a good shot.
Thank you too.
Morning, Sam.
Come on down, young lady.
Very exciting.
Just the other day.
Good morning.
Thank you.
How exciting. I mean, can I?
I can try.
Oh, you're doing great.
A little sassy.
You're good, Amanda.
Good girl.
1, 2, 3.
Thank
Took
you.
a bunch.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Great.
Appreciate it, thank you so much. And what was your name? Have a wonderful day. Thank you for your kind words.
Thanks for coming, Jeremy.
Thank you. Is this a homework assignment?
I don't know. Yes,
Nice picture.
I'm curious.
Wow.
Okay, we're gonna move on to D3, Lassen National Forest. Thank you, ladies, for coming.
Hello, good to see you all, and thanks for having us. Do you want to do a quick introduction? So I'll start. I'm Bobette Jones, District Ranger at Eagle Lake on the Lassen National Forest. I am supporting, I'll let Stephanie introduce herself at this topic and here for questions.
Good morning, my name is Stephanie Cox. I'm the Lassen National Forest Partnership Coordinator. And today we wanted to let the board and the public know about a funding opportunity that is currently active. It's one of our most flexible funding opportunities through the forest, so we definitely want to make sure that the board and the public are aware. This particular funding opportunity comes from the Secure Rural Schools program, which many of you are probably familiar with. That program and the associated legislation sets aside funding from multi-use activities on the forest, such as grazing, timber removal, and special use permits. And it puts that funding into 3 different pots: Title I, Title II, and Title III. Today, what I'll be talking to you about is Title II funding, which is governed again by that Secure Rural Schools Act, and we have a resource advisory committee made up of 9 to 15 non-federal employee, local community members who recommend projects for awarding under that program. So the Resource Advisory Council, that's our RAC, again has 9 to 15 people in Lassen County RAC. We currently have 10 folks, some of whom are in the room right now. We will be meeting in late April. We have several meetings planned. We currently have a request for proposals out and open. The due date for that request for proposals is April 10th. Some past projects that have been funded under the RAC, just for reference, if you've heard of the Lassen Fire Safe Council Thompson Peak Initiative, that was funded in part by the RAC proposals, or through RAC. Susanville Indian Rancheria had a youth community corps, or conservation corps, pardon me, that did a lot of great activities around the forest and state and private lands. That was funded several years ago and is complete. So our Lassen County RAC has been inactive for about 5 years. It's been a staffing issue. We just haven't had people to run the rack. But the funds have continued to be deposited into accounts, which is good for us and for Lassen County, because it means that right now we have approximately $750,000 that is available for project funding. So who is eligible for this funding? Again, very flexible funding source. So federal, tribal, state, local governments, private, NGO, landowners. So just about everyone. The projects do need to occur on National Forest Service lands within Lassen County or have to show benefit to National Forest Service lands. And the kinds of projects that are covered under the SRS program, there's a lot of room for interpretation, and they tend to have a wide scope of impact, so that can include state and private quite easily. Generally speaking, the funds can be used for infrastructure improvement, stewardship projects, and watershed restoration. More specifically, we've got, and I did give you guys a copy of this RFP, but more specifically, we can do weed abatement, native species reestablishment, road trail infrastructure maintenance, which would include campgrounds, soil productivity improvement, and general forest ecosystem health. So it's quite a wide variety of projects that are eligible. So because we have such a large pot of money, we are recommending 2 different categories of funding: small grants and large grants. Small grants we're recommending could be up to $75,000. Large grants, we have room to bring in a couple of those projects at up to $200,000. It will depend on how many applications we receive and what the proposals look like. For this particular funding opportunity, there is no match requirement, which is great news for small organizations and private landowners, because they don't have to put any money up for these projects as well. You do have to have the support of district rangers, so we are making sure that project proponents are speaking to folks like Bobette and Russell Nickerson and LaJohn Heyman to make sure that the forest has the capacity to support the projects, especially when they occur on National Forest Service lands. In terms of proposal preparation, I'm the contact. I'm offering my services to review the proposals before submission, to help as an initial point of contact, to help people understand if their project would be eligible for this funding, and for any other questions that anyone might have. Speaking of questions, I'm ready to take yours.
I have one.
Yes.
Does replanting seedlings, reforestation fit into that program?
Yes,
Good.
yeah, it sure does, absolutely.
Now I'm excited.
Yeah, good.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else?
You know, I got some questions. A couple of them. Do you have a new forest supervisor yet in the Lassen?
No, we are still operating under an acting forest supervisor.
When do you expect that position to be filled?
We are not sure at this time.
It will not be filled in the next round. We know that for sure. We'll have another acting at this time.
And how long is the round for?
They're 4-month details, so they'll be here for another 4 months. If whoever is identified, we do not have that information at this time.
Okay, so Tara's just starting her second year?
Oh, no, Tara, we are now with Nolan Colgrove as our acting forest supervisor, and he is completing his detail at the end of this month. The first week of April, he'll work through.
And then you'll have another acting after that?
Correct.
Okay, that's good there. And so you got this rack thing, how is this going to pencil out to get your projects done with the government layoffs you guys are having, or Forest Service layoffs?
That's why it's really critical that we have project proponents touch base with the district rangers to make sure that we can support the projects. What we're hoping is that the projects are mostly driven by the proponents, so that our role in the projects is minimal and hopefully mostly involves general oversight and managing the agreement. But the funding is definitely meant for Lassen County community members to undertake the projects.
Okay, so what do you do with old projects that have been funded by RAC on a couple of different rounds?
Yeah.
And they're still not completed yet, and I'm thinking that they're doing a trail system. mean, we started this way back when in 2017, here we are at 24, and now you're gonna push it off again to 2020? You've already been funded by RAC 2 different times? I
Yes.
mean, what are we doing here?
That is why
Explain this
we,
to me.
yeah, we can, well, a lot has changed since 17, and right now, anything, that's why we are putting in the letters of recommendation and support, or I'm sorry, letters of support from the Rangers, so that we aren't overcommitting the abilities of the forest. The last two, the example you're bringing forward is
Right.
is very circumstantial, and
What do you
that
mean circumstantial?
in,
Help me out.
in 17, since 17 we've had several big fires, we've had COVID, and right now we are changing our staffing again.
So what
And
makes that
so
circumstantial?
when those were committed to, the staff that committed to them have rotated out, and we've only gone downhill since then in terms of number of people to support projects. What we've done to preempt this from happening again is not only our letters of support, but is also to say that things that will compete best in this round should be NEPA compliant, because we know we do not have the people to do the reviews or push the process. And we're asking them that they, to compete well, be consistent with our existing program of work. So nothing new added, nothing that would be side and pushed. The RAC funding, when the Forest Service was staffed differently, these are different times. We were able, this was the opportunity to bring things that were more additional, or we call them white hat in our area, but that weren't directly related to our big vegetation programs and commercial timber and fire. However, we have dwindled down to the existing staff is primarily supporting those two objectives. So that's why that happened. In 2020, I mean, if no one here was affected by COVID and how their organization ran, that is amazing. But the federal government was strongly affected, especially the Lassen. And since that time, we've not seen the same staffing numbers.
So what do you call it circumstantial then?
When they committed to it in 2017, they did not anticipate consecutive large fires along with COVID and a huge staffing change.
Okay, but you had the people to help you do the NEPA on the county side. I mean, so.
I would say
I know
that.
that this is taxpayer dollars, but god dang, I mean, you awarded what, 80,000 and 100, or 51,000 or something, or 100,000? I mean, you made two different RAC grants, and you're just gonna.
We
just
can
let it
talk
go,
about
so-
the Fredonia Trail and those circumstances. I've met.
What I'm saying is, Bobette, is that you guys promote this stuff, you have projects come forward, and you partially fund them, and you get people all excited about it, and then you just wipe them off, oh, we'll do that in 2030. Let's just push it off, it's not worth it. You have people to do the work. You have letters of support from this board, 2 or 3 of them, over the years. And now you're just gonna push it back again. And now you're coming to us again saying how great of a program this is, and you have all this pot of money, for what?
Yeah.
I mean, let's,
To try to move it into our projects with our current
so
staff.
what do we have to do to get this Fredonia Trail system bike trail put in, to benefit this county, to benefit this community, to benefit your forest? What do we have to do to get this back on track and get it going?
It would need NEPA and a letter of support, and at this time, it would not compete well if you tried to bring it forward with RAC
The
funding.
money's there, you guys, we haven't even spent all the money yet. Yet you guys won't allow it to go forward.
Yeah, it's interesting.
No,
to
it's
have-
sad is what it is, it's not interesting at all.
Okay, thank you for your comment.
To be clear.
I don't have another answer for you.
Just for some background information, so some NEPA documentation was completed for that project.
Okay.
And unfortunately, because of the fires and because of other situations like the California spotted owl being put up for listing, that NEPA documentation is incomplete. And so we wouldn't be able to produce a legally defensible NEPA document at this time to move forward with that project. We would have to go back and do more work on that NEPA document.
That's what I asked, what do we have to get done to get it finished up?
So we would have to do reanalysis considering the California spotted owl habitat that's included in that project. as well as some additional edits to make sure that the correct language is being used and the correct people are being identified. There were some other edits that need to happen to that document.
Okay, so how do you have spotted owl habitat if the forest is burned up and you guys haven't even reforested anything? How the hell is that spotted owl habitat? I'm just asking. They're just stupid questions, but.
Yeah, that's definitely something that we have to take direction from our regional Washington offices on, but that is something that's being analyzed at this time, which is why that makes this particular NEPA document difficult, because we don't have the final answers yet.
So would it be helpful to you if I called Jennifer and explained this to her?
Yes.
Uber line? Okay.
That's absolutely within your rights to do, and if we then receive direction from Everline to move forward in a different way, we're happy to do that.
Okay, I can do that for you. Be more than happy to. I mean, because once you guys come here and ask, I mean, we tried to participate in this, and we tried to be good players and good partners, and we just get kicked in the face every time. And I know that this has been going on. I know that the federal government moves incredibly slow. I know that there's turnover, that one person has a good idea and it gets changed, and then you have a national election and leadership changes back there too. I know, I understand how the whole thing works. I deal with it all the time on the personal level, you know, with a permit, you know. But you guys, as stewards of the taxpayer dollars too, you guys have got to be responsible, and you guys have got to be accountable. And when you're working with other government agencies such as the county, I mean, help us help you, and you guys aren't helping us at all. I mean, we come forward with plans, we try to help you out, we offer to do all this stuff for you, letters of support, everything you need, and then we're rewarded by, oh, we're gonna push this off till 2030. And we started it in 2017. I mean, it's hard to get support when you guys don't support us.
I can see how that would be
I've said
frustrating.
enough. I don't know what somebody else.
I have one other question about the funding. Is any of that gonna be, used for, hazard removal on all these burnt areas? Because if we go in and, if we're gonna go in and plant trees, we need to remove the fire fuel first. And you can look right up on Diamond and tell where the private land is and where the federal land is. Ray Charles himself could probably see the difference. And, you know, it's sad because the next fire is gonna be worse than the one that originally burned it, because the fire fuel is everywhere. And, that, to me, that should be a priority, to get it off there. There's hundreds of thousands of acres on federal land that's hazardous. It's gonna get worse. People can't go out there and use the land because of the, you know, the trees are getting rotten, they're falling over, you know. We're kind of putting the cart before the horse here. I think we should take care of the land before we add more to it. It's just a thought, so.
Our priorities are to address the Dixie footprint and the hazards within them, and that we have some NEPA moving and additional NEPA almost ready for signature. And we've been awarded money to get work done that is now being challenged if it's appropriate money to use. However, yes, for these RAP grants, it's eligible to put in for roadside hazard removal and the reforestation. You're submitting proposals at this time. Those are both eligible, and they would have to be staggered if those actions. So.
The only thing I would caution in terms of that kind of activity is that, for instance, roadside hazard tree removal is extremely expensive. So we're looking at about $4,000 an acre for that particular work as done by contractors. For the amount of roadside hazard tree removal that needs to be done across the forest, we're looking at $70 to $140 million worth of costs. So RAC would be able to, funding would be able to use to target specific priority areas, but would not be able to be used to address the entire forest.
Because it's just very frustrating, because the forest is our only renewable resource, and we're not renewing it. We're waiting for another fire to wipe it out, And it's, like I said, it's gonna be worse than the one that went through the first time, no matter where it's the Dixie or whatever fire we're talking about. And it just really frustrates me that the private landowners are vested in their future. They've cleared their land, they've replanted, and here as a taxpayer, we sat here and look and nothing, I can't say nothing's been done, but you've just barely touched the surface. And it is very frustrating. I came from a timber background, and it's the darndest thing I've ever tried to evaluate. It just doesn't add up, so. Anyway, thank you.
The one question I have, so you guys are getting, more funding other than a grant program to, do the hazardous tree removal and that, or no?
Not at this time. I don't think there's anything beyond our project operational budget.
True. Our awarded money that did come in is being held up right now, so we are trying to do that.
So you're relying on some of this grant funding money to take care of that, or you put in for additional money to take care of?
There are other
those
opportunities, yeah, there are other grant opportunities that might be, fit better for that scale and cost than the rack. For post-fire road hazards, I'm talking about on the scale of the Dixie.
All right. I think, Pete, did you have a question?
I just want to say the project's been a project since 2013.
So,
when we first
come on
initiated
up.
it. And another question is, when did the spotted owl become a species of concern?
Your question?
When did the spotted, I'm directing it to him if he wants to.
Oh.
When did the spotted owl become a species of concern again,
Again.
as listed?
All right.
And because I believe our project was NEPA approved, and I say ours, I mean the communities, was NEPA approved prior to the spotted owl becoming a listed concern again. And it had also been a project listed as a SOFA or NOFA as well. So the project was ready to go. And it's been supported by every forest supervisor and the Lassen ranger. And those are the things that Ms. Caldwell is talking about. So, and all of a sudden it comes to a screeching stop. And so I think some of what's been said here is inaccurate, and I would invite Mr. Caldwell to invite me to have that discussion with other folks.
All right, well, maybe you guys can check in on that, information if it, so that, and get back to us if, or you guys don't have any paperwork showing that, or what?
Your question is, what is my question that I'm going to come back to, is when did the spotted owl come in?
The spotted owl, and that the county's understanding that NEPA was completed. And now we're hearing that it wasn't completed.
There may be two, let's look into this, because this particular topic is supposed to be discussing the RAD. And I am happy to meet with, again, all the trail organizers. What I do believe is happening is this information has been passed on and it just won't be accepted. So let's clear it up, have one more conversation.
So, but this money, this RAC money, is that intended to go for those trail systems?
If you get a letter of support and it is brought forward, yeah. So I would say if you get a letter of support, which it is not consistent with the forest priorities right now, so no.
Okay. Mr. Alba?
In 2017, RAC funds were awarded to Lassen County to complete the NEPA documentation, so the Forest Service would not need to spend internal resources to complete the surveys. We did that.
And what happened since then?
Oh, you had the forest wasn't managed, so we had a forest fire.
Alright. So
I mean, come on, and
in
there was
2017, a different group of people under a different understanding and staffing thought they could do this, and the situation changed.
Yeah,
Since
because
then,
the new staff person come in
the
with a different
decision
set of
has
ideals
been
and
made,
ideology.
the decision has been made
Yes.
to meet different priorities.
By
And
who?
we
Who
have
made those
stopped
decisions?
that project. The
Who made
forest
those decisions?
supervisor. Alright, I am going to have a separate meeting about the Fredonia Trail with whoever needs to talk about it to finalize it.
Okay, can I be there?
Yeah, I
Can
just
Liz
said
Norton be there?
whoever.
Can Liz Norton be there?
Yeah.
Can Pete be there?
Stephanie, I would like you to organize a meeting with our public and whoever wants to come.
Can do.
You have one
Very good.
more hand in the audience.
Couple other things I'd like to bring up is the SRS funding for your RAC program. Has that been passed yet this year?
No, we have funding up until 2023 that's already been deposited in accounts at the region ready for availability. The SRS Title II funding is generally passed with the Farm Bill, which has not yet been fully passed for FY '24 and '25. So we don't yet have FY '24 funds in there.
Do you expect that to be passed this year in the Farm Bill?
I could not possibly speculate on what Congress is gonna do. I would hope so, yes, it hasn't been held back yet, but again, I just can't really guess or speculate.
Okay, I didn't know if you had inside knowledge. Okay, a couple other questions. So with these RAC programs, are, the RAC funding is like flaggery and range riders, are they available? Because wolves are gonna be part of Lassen County now. They're already creating havoc for the permittees, being chased on other allotments, being threats of being fined for trespass because the cattle aren't where they're supposed to be because the wolves run through the fences and scatter them and et cetera. Is anything in the RAC for the permittees with wolves?
If we can, oh, yes, in fact, we have a proposal that the forest is looking to put forward in partnership with a virtual fencing company and with 5 Ranch to start to use virtual fencing to be able to move cattle around their allotments much more efficiently.
Virtual fencing doesn't protect them from the wolves.
Except that the wolves are collared, so if we know where the wolves are, then the livestock producers actually have the option to move their cattle away from where the wolves are currently located with the touch of a button on their phone. So that is a project that is being applied for the RAC funding.
That's not practical.
In terms of other projects involving the wolves, if there's a project that gets proposed and it fits within the SRS guidelines and we can make that interpretation that it improves, for instance, wildlife and fish habitat restoration, maintenance, and improvement, then we certainly would put that proposal forward. In terms of managing the animals themselves, I think the distinction between what the Forest Service does and what, say, federal and state wildlife agencies do is that we manage the habitat, whereas the Fish and Wildlife agencies manage the actual animals. So it may be that that wouldn't fall within the scope of what we would do, but I would have to see a proposal come forward. And
See, that's a false assumption you just made, that Fish and Wildlife manage their animals. They do not manage their animals. They do not. So, make that clarification. Last question. How do I become a member of the RAC committee? Where's the application at? Because I need to get on that, obviously.
yeah, we'd love to have you. It'd be nice to have another local elected
How does
official.
myself or anybody else go on to become a member of apply to be a member of the RAC committee?
We currently have 6 seats open on our RAC, and within the next 6 months, we're going to begin a nomination package. So do know that it is a bureaucratic process, and it does take quite a long time. But we have to send member applications or the nomination packages all the way up to Washington, where members undergo background checks and other screening to make sure that they're eligible to be part of the RAC. That I'm anticipating you'll see notices calling for interest in becoming a RAC member within the next 6 months.
And they get an application from your office?
Yes, I'll be sending that out. So they're currently undergoing revision because they had some language in them that was not consistent with the most recent executive orders put out by the president. So those haven't yet been released, the applications. As soon as they are, I'll be sending them out.
Okay. I guess that's all.
We have one more
Liz.
comment from the
Liz.
public.
Elizabeth Norton, and I'm a member of Interagency Trails Coalition. The coalition is working on an interconnected trail system connecting Lake Almanor with the Biz Johnson Trail, and then connecting it all the way to Wendell where the MoDOC line starts. So it's about a 188-mile trail system that's gonna connect 5 local communities with trails that we think or know are gonna be pretty popular with the public to come here, spend a few days and enjoy riding our trail system. The Fredonia trails have been on the books since Joel Rathje, who's the county interagency trails coordinator at the time. Back in 2013, he went out there, worked with the Forest Service folks, and then came up with an alignment that would be able to avoid any of the conflicts that were in that area, such as the spotted owls. So I'm not aware that circumstances have changed with those protected activity centers, but that's something for the Forest Service to give us some input. The coalition met with Bobette. She was kind enough to set aside some time, and we also had Stephanie there to talk about what projects would be eligible for this coming round of RAC funding. And Fredonia project was pretty high on the books. You mentioned Commissioner or Senator, Mr. Albaugh, just Supervisor Albaugh, that it was funded in 2017 with the support of the Ranger District. And also that was to complete the planning or take it as far as having a decision notice issued. And I'm not real clear that a decision was ever made, but I think most of the background reports at that time were being prepared under the direction of the district rangers in 2017 and in 2020. Another RAC allocation was made for $100,000 to begin the construction of the first loop of the trail, about 12 miles. It's gonna be a 3-loop system out there at Fredonia View, really pretty country. Bobette mentioned that we've had some fires. I'll use this project, Fredonia Trails, starting with Joel Rathje's advocacy back in 2013. That was 12 years ago. That's a pretty long time to wait for the Forest Service to complete their NEPA document when community stakeholders are ready to help them out. The grant funds were meant to be used to contract out this work. So a lot of the burden would not fall on the Forest Service. It would be contracted out. The Forest Service would review the documents, approve or edit them, and then issue the final decision. I think we've had a turnover of district rangers to the extent that besides the fires, each ranger has their own priorities. It was pretty clear to me when we met with Bobette that she was not going to begin the planning process to finalize Fredonia until 2030. So that would be 17 years from the point in time when this community-led project was presented to the Forest Service in 2013. I think that takes off a lot of the burden. I'll use another example of a trail project that has 36 miles. Fredonia has 24 miles. The Colby Mountain Recreation Project over on the Almanor District has 36 miles, so a lot more miles, 3 trailheads going in, a bridge going in. It's a pretty complicated project that doesn't have the level of, it has a fair amount of complexity to it. Fredonia does not have that level of complexity. So to me, when Russell Nickerson over at the Almanor Ranger District, the district ranger there, is able to approve a project within 15 months of planning from the beginning until the ranger's decision was issued, that tells me there's a real block here with Fredonia Trails that didn't have to come up. Bobette mentions there's circumstances that are affecting the Fredonia Trails project. The circumstance is you have a different ranger with different priorities, and Fredonia's not one of them. So having another meeting, I think with Bobette and her recreation staff there on the district, it's not gonna be productive in my opinion. We've already tried that, and, you know, we came up with our best responses to assure that we're there to help out, not to create a big workload for the Forest Service. I don't see it's gonna work out any differently in terms of Bobette's position. What we'd like to do is set up a meeting with the Forest Supervisor and see if we can have a bypass around this. Our goal is to submit this project, again, whatever needs to be completed besides the construction. If there's some additional planning, we'd like to submit a RAC application by April 10th in order to restart the project. That's our end goal. It's not having more discussion and more meetings with the Forest Service, but I think if we talk to the Forest Supervisor and explain the inequity between the Colby project versus the Fredonia project, it falls on the Forest Service staff of that unit to say, this is why it's different. You had a willing ranger over here and a willing staff. You don't have it in Eagle Lake, and that's not gonna happen until 2030. 5 years tells me that this is a no-go project. I think 5 years there'll be Bobette or somebody else up here saying, boy, it's been a long time, it's hard to go back and restart it. It needs to start now so people can enjoy the trail.
All right, thank you.
So, thank you.
All right. If you guys have any more information or that, thank you for coming. We appreciate you guys always coming and
We'll allow you to set up the meeting with our Forest Soup, and thank you for the time as well.
thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay. I want to take a 5-minute break. Okay.
That's what I'm using here, so it should just automatically go on to the.
Yeah, so any county building, as long as you have public, you jump right over to it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so
The
there's very
city,
few.
the city one, I couldn't, they gave me the password for it. Have you done the city one yet?
I haven't.
I tried to log into the city one and I could not log onto that one. So.
Yeah, so
I'll
ours
have to-
goes throughout all county, well, almost all county facilities. I won't say all, because there's certain facilities that doesn't have Wi-Fi, like facilities at the Beaver or stuff like that. But most of the county sites where you have meetings, other than like Office of Education side, you'll have access to public. It should be there broadcasted for everyone to use.
Okay, cool.
So, with a super secure
'Cause
password
if
of
not,
tireless wireless.
I
for
was
everything.
gonna, I mean, so it should automatically go on it, which
Yes.
is cool. But I was gonna just use my hotspot if I could, but I was thinking, it's gonna be buffering and we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how it works tonight.
Yeah, I had mine drop out too, and I'm not on the public side of it, and mine just bottomed out for a minute.
In the beginning, huh?
Yeah,
I was like, what the heck? And I kept seeing buffer. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, mine just dropped.
I know it's right when that lady was talking, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, that happens. It happens.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, that wasn't like a comment.
Yeah.
I'm gonna freeze dry all kinds of fruit this year. Oh, it's so good, freeze dried stuff. This is just dehydrated, it's not freeze dried. I was gonna grab a snack before I came in, and then apples. It could be. I think.
You know, my daughter's.
From where you make them?
A lot of the time.
From my tree.
Yes, totally different. Do you have a freeze dryer?
I have a freeze dryer and a dehydrator.
Yeah, me too.
The peppers, I'm not gonna eat
It's, I've got bad disease.
I'm okay, yeah. I dehydrate our pepper because freeze drying peppers is like deadly. When you have to powder it.
Oh, yeah.
It just works better dehydrated.
I like to freeze drying my powder tenders. Dehydrates, especially my green cells and.
I'm not speaking up for anybody, but I'm
Like
just
chunks
saying,
of
you
them.
know,
Yeah.
I powder them.
See, and I like them.
That's how I sell it.
I know that the
So I
just like them because I
conservative candidate, well,
either jars
always
or
easy.
but I store them because
I remember,
they'll come by bell peppers if I make them fresh in a salad. Other than that, I just double it.
Yeah.
So I don't.
We actually used them. I froze some peppers this year, like leftover peppers at the end of the season. And we made marinara sauces this year. And I was like, I need to use these frozen peppers. It came out really good. Onions and peppers. And marinara sauce with our tomatoes, the leftover tomatoes in the freezer. We freeze all our tomatoes.
Okay, we're gonna move on to F1. The Clear Creek Community Service District appointments.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Debbie Jennings Meeks and Taryn Purcell both to the Clear Creek Community Service District Board for the term of 1 year.
I will second that.
Okay,
I got a question.
motion, just a second. Motion made by Supervisor Scanlon, seconded by Supervisor Bridges.
Supervisor Scan, this will complete the board, right? This
It'll
is what
put,
they're-
there'll be 4 out of 5 members on the board.
They'll at least have one.
They'll have a quorum plus 1.
Okay, so there's a correction to the term. What is the actual term?
The term, there's 3 vacancies. 2 of the vacancies expire December 4th of 2026, and there's 1 term that expires in December of 2028.
Can I amend
So
the
it's-
motion to make it so they both expire on December 4th, 2026? That'd be,
Okay, perfect, thank you.
So you amend your motion to have they both expire?
I will second that.
This is the long term.
Sure.
This is the short term.
it's a shorter term.
Okay, so Supervisor Scanlon made the motion for the terms to expire in December 4th, 2026. Supervisor Bridges seconded. And is there anybody from the public? Okay, seeing none, any other discussion up here?
I actually spoke with both candidates, and at one, it wasn't an official CSD meeting because they didn't have a quorum at that time. But it's refreshing to see that the 2 of them and their relationship with the 2 existing board members, it's gonna be a very kind of compatible board, you know, they'll work together. And so I just highly recommend that we approve this.
So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we're gonna move on to, the, F2 planning services for the, PSA2, advisory council. And we have, 1 application, Tina Kenmore. And can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to reappoint Tina Kinnamore to the Planning and Service Area of PSA2 Advisory Council. She's pretty amazing. She's done an incredible job, and I'd like to keep her there.
Fosse?
Second.
Okay, so Supervisor Bridges made the motion, seconded by Supervisor Albaugh. Is there anybody from the public? Okay, seeing none, and I just want to, Tina's did a great job since I've been on there, and so.
She'd
she
be hard to
really-
replace, wouldn't she?
Really, cares about our seniors and wanting to help them, so. All right, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, we're gonna move on to, G for the information and consent calendar. Anybody wanna pull anything? Okay, seeing none, can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept, all the, everything under the G calendar.
Okay,
Second.
made, Supervisor Bridges made the motion for G, and Supervisor Ingram seconded it. Anybody from the public? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, we're going to move on to H1.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'll do this. This was a NorCal EMS JPA that was approved at the last meeting, and the only change is who was actually authorized to sign that. JPA needs the chairman of the board to sign it rather than the CAO, so that's the only change we're making here, and that's to ratify that and authorize the chair to sign.
All right.
I was wondering about this case.
So, do I have a motion?
I make a motion to ratify the JPA with NorCal EMS and authorize the chairman to execute the agreement.
Okay, motion made by Supervisor Bridges. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Supervisor Ingram. Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on it? Seeing none, bring it back up here for a vote. All those, you want me to discuss? Yes, sir.
You know, I still, I mean, this needs to go through, don't get me wrong. But I think in the future moving forward, I think that NorCal EMS, I think this is still something more for the CAO or the deputy CAO or something like that. I think this is more of a Trindle prism type of a deal, more so than the Board of Supervisors, because of the inner workings of the EMS system and what it takes and et cetera. And I think that's something we ought to look into as far as a representative that represents us, more so than the county supervisors. It's just, this is my personal opinion.
And they are willing to discuss that in the future.
And I think that's something we can look at.
And that's to make the CAO a member
Right.
of that instead of the supervisors?
Instead of the county supervisor, yes.
All right, well, we'll have to discuss that
Yeah,
down the
in the
road.
future, but I just want to bring that up for
Okay.
discussion. But this needs to be passed today, so.
All right, so is there any more discussion up here? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we're going to, move to, the Ralph M. Brown Act violation, H2.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is before you as a corrective action to the previously discussed district attorney letter finding a Brown Act violation. This precludes further lawsuit down the road. It's a commitment that the Brown Act will not be violated again. Also included in this agenda item is requesting that the board agree to undergo additional Brown Act training. So the action is to approve the corrective action letter and commit to refrain from similar further acts, which is contained in the letter, and agree that the board undergo additional Brown Act training.
I'd like to make a motion. to approve the corrective action letter and commit to refrain from further similar acts. Secondly, to agree to, for the board to undergo additional Brown Act training. And that's that.
I will second that.
Motion was made by Supervisor Scanlon, second by Supervisor Bridges. Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on this? Seeing none, bring it back up here. Any more discussion? Yes, sir.
So, when would this additional change take place?
We can arrange
A
for
ballpark.
at the board's convenience.
I didn't hear the last part. At the what?
I said at the board's convenience.
Okay.
So one other question, are we gonna rescind the action we took on that?
You did at the last meeting.
Okay.
So that item needs to be brought back to an agenda.
That's a different discussion. So
But
this has
it-
nothing to do with that.
Right, but it still needs to come back.
It's up to the board as to whether or not it comes back.
Okay. Any more discussion?
I do.
Yes.
We've had several trainings on this Brown Act. I hope this one takes effect.
Okay, all those.
I'd like a roll call, please.
Roll call vote.
Thank you.
Supervisor Scanlon,
Yes.
Supervisor Bridges,
Yes.
Supervisor Alba,
Aye.
Supervisor Ingram,
Aye.
Supervisor Neely.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to, H3.
I have no information for the board today.
All right. Thank you. So with that, we'll end the meeting.
20.
Make a motion to go longer.
Might be able to get-
Not used to leaving here before you.
Motion,